So we're live, and today I have got Julia Elliott Brown with me. Thank you so much, Julia, for joining me today. Julia is a founder of a business called Enter the Arena, and she is one of the leading experts in in helping people get fundraising, aren't you, Julia? And when I say people, I should say female founders. So do welcome, Julia, and do tell us a little bit about yourself and about Enter the Arena.
Thank you, Emmy. Thanks for having me. So Enter the Arena is a coaching and advisory business that is all about empowering female founders to fly. And predominantly that's about helping them to raise investment for growth. So we work with female founders who are high growth potential, so who are building startups that are really going places. We help them get their businesses ready for investment. We support them through raising investment, which is really, really hard. And then post-investment, we also have peer advisory groups where we support those founders in developing their entrepreneurial skills as they scale their businesses and help them through all the challenges that come post-investment. So yeah, that's what we do.
Amazing. And so how long has Enter the Arena been going?
5.5 years now, which I can't believe, really. It feels like yesterday that we set the business up, but yeah, 5.5 years. And it's been amazing. We've worked with thousands of incredible female founders across all different sectors. Most of them are kind of a couple of years into their business, but ready to scale. And it's just, I love all the women that we work with. They are incredible.
And I would love to know, I think I know this from looking on your website, but how did you come up with the name Enter the Arena?
Oh, that's a great question. Actually, with my previous business, which was called Upper Street, Design Your Own Shoe Company, I was part of the Dell Women's Entrepreneur Network, and we had an annual conference in lots of glamorous locations. One year we went to Austin in Texas, and we were lucky enough to have the inimitable Brené Brown speak with us. If you haven't come across Brené Brown, please look her up. She's incredible. And her philosophy is all about being brave and courageous and vulnerable. And she, in her talk, referenced a quote, which you may be familiar with, which is all about how it's a Roosevelt quote, which is all about how you need to enter the arena to make things happen, and how you shouldn't listen to critics who sit on the sidelines and lob advice at you from the seats of the arena. But it's about rolling your sleeves up, getting dirty, getting down with it, and fighting the good fight. And if you fall over on the floor, picking yourself up, wiping the dust off, and carrying on. And I just really love that quote. And so when we started the business, I thought, I've got to do something with this quote. It'd be amazing. Enter the arena. It felt right. And I think it really resonates in terms of raising investment and for female founders, because if you don't actually go out there and do it, it's never going to happen for you. You kind of have to enter the arena. You have to get up on stage. You have to get in the pit and expose yourself and go out there to make it happen.
Yeah, and one of my values and something that I really think is so important is this idea of courage. Like as founders, it takes so much courage to be a founder, doesn't it? And you're going to put yourself out there and it's not going to be perfect and you're going to have to reiterate. And when I did my podcasting course with Seth Godin, he told us about that quote, and he was basically saying, we're all so scared to launch our podcast. And he said, don't take advice from anyone else who hasn't got a podcast, because they don't know how hard it is. And if you take advice from, don't listen to the critics that are saying, it's not good enough or whatever, because basically if you're not in the arena getting kicked yourself, then you don't know what it's like. And I love it. I love that quote. Yeah, and I love Brené Brown. She's amazing.
She is, isn't she? And when I was raising investment for my last business, and I raised about £2 million, I definitely felt that all I had, the only advisors and supporters I could find were people who just felt like they were lobbing advice at me. They were mostly kind of men in suits who hadn't actually ever been an entrepreneur, who'd never raised investment before, and I didn't really know how I felt, what I was going through. So that's a big part of what Enter the Arena is about, is saying, look, we know about this. I've personally been through it. I've got the scars to prove it. And
you can empathize.
I know how our clients feel, because I was one of my clients not that long ago. In fact, actually, kind of still am, because I'm still a female founder building a business, right? So I'm still in it.
And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about your business rather than, because we've done a podcast episode already where we talked about Enter the Arena and what you're doing and helping founders get funding and all those kind of things. So today I want to talk about your business because I'm kind of nosy and I love hearing about how other people run successful businesses, and also think it's great insight because you are running a successful business. You said you're chock-a-block full with work, helping these female founders that are going on to do amazing things. So we talked about you've had it for 5 years. Why did you start that? Did you start that up because you realized that there was a need or there was something missing? Because you sort of said when you were fundraising, there was nothing there to help you that you could resonate with.
Yeah, absolutely. It came, I think as an entrepreneur myself who had raised investment, I'd always had so many other female founders particularly come to me and say, how did you do that? Could I have a coffee with you? Could you give me some tips and advice? And I was always happy to do that, but it was really clear to me there was a gap. So I knew I wanted to help founders raise investment. Focusing on female founders was really, I very quickly zoned in on that. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One is I really bloody love working with women. I just find that women are so open. They are, they know what they don't know, and they're prepared to admit it. They want help, they want support, and they are just so great to work with. There's never any kind of arrogance that kind of gets left at the door. So it feels like we're on the same side, we're on the same team. And I think women really connect well with me because I'm a female founder too. And we speak the same language, right? That's great. The second thing was that I wanted to do my part in redressing the gender funding gap, which is, huge. And we don't need to even go on about that, because if you don't know about that, then just search on the internet. But the third piece was that actually female founders, I felt, needed a very different approach because they are navigating the world of investment, which is very male dominated. So there are lots of issues around how to understand how to speak the language of investors, how to get your head around finance, which doesn't come naturally to a lot of female founders. Issues around confidence, risk, dealing with gender bias, whether it's conscious or unconscious. There's a lot of things that women need a different approach to. So that's why I zoned in on female founders. Yeah,
amazing.
And started the business really just kind of, doing a bit of coaching to see where it would go. And it's incredible how it's evolved into, we're now sort of taking our steps to scale the business. I'm not sure how big we will scale it. We'll see. But what started with just me is now building out to be a really nice little team and a business that is actually quite scalable, which I didn't think I'd ever want to do again. But when there are so many, what's driving that is that there are so many female founders out there who need our help. I was becoming a bottleneck. So I've had to look at how I can scale the business to be able to meet that demand.
Really interesting, actually, Julia, because I think I'm kind of in a similar place. Like, I think, and the question I'd ask you is, does everyone want you though? Because you're it's scaling a business when you're the one that everyone sort of associates with the business. It's difficult, isn't it? Because you're then bringing, how are you navigating that? How's that working?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite challenging. I mean, a big piece of work that we did pre-pandemic was build out our fundraising academy, which is basically everything that's in my head that has been put into an amazing online resource. I challenge anyone to find a more comprehensive resource about how to raise investment step by step. Really transformational. It's not just information, it takes you through the process. And so that was a big piece of work that frees me up personally, because instead of me having to say all that stuff over and over again one-on-one, it's there as an incredible resource. So that's great. So that means that the one-on-one work that I do with clients is on top of that. And I can actually also do group coaching, which is really effective, because actually women being in a peer group and supporting each other through the process of fundraising is actually almost as important as having access to me as an expert. And then around that, I have other experts who can help with other parts of it. So there's bits that only I know, but when it comes to things like getting your financial forecast right, then I've got financial experts who I can loop in to help with that. If it's about sorting out your pitch deck design, then I've got experts who can help with that. If it's about, right, how do I sort out my LinkedIn stuff so that I can connect with investors, then I've got, an expert who can help with that. So there's always somebody I can bring in who's actually much better than I am at any of those specific things. And then I can sit in the middle, tying it all together with the real sort of fundraising piece.
Amazing. And yeah, I can completely see where you're at, because I'm sort of at a similar stage, and I think we've got all this knowledge in our heads, isn't it? And we can only help a certain number of people, like on a one-to-one basis. There's only so much we can do. But actually, if you can take that knowledge like you have, and it's amazing you say it's working so well, it actually frees you up to help more people, which is essentially what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And make more impact. So so talk to me about how you get your clients. I'm imagining a lot of it's word of mouth.
A
and
lot of
your reputation.
Yeah, but that takes a long time to build, right? I mean, when I started this business, very different business from my last business, which was a product-based business, really. This is a service-based business. And so at the start, I was probably spending 80% of my time doing business development and maybe 20% of my time delivering value for clients. I found that quite frustrating. But I think, it takes a while to build your reputation, both in terms of delivering value for clients, but also with the whole ecosystem that you're in. And I think for me, working with partners in the ecosystem has been incredibly valuable. And it's what I love about the startup world is that everybody does want to support each other. We're all there trying to help founders. And so if you know where your expertise is and how that can complement the stuff that other people do, it just makes complete sense to work in partnership. So that's been really, really important for Enter the Arena. Delivering value for clients. Those are the main things. We've tried a few bits and pieces over the years. We've done some Facebook advertising, which was pretty good, but struggled to build what I would call a real quality database from that. So we didn't do that for too long. We've got lots of people engaged, but the quality was quite hard to achieve. We have a good social media presence. It's building. We're doing more and more of that. Started off being very much me, but now transitioning towards it being around and for the brand, for the business, and trying to have slightly less reliance on me. But that builds. I think that's about organic growth and again building expertise, trust, giving before you try and get back. That's my philosophy, is kind of if you put out really good stuff into the atmosphere, whatever content that is, whether it's really, really insightful stuff on social media, whether it's an insightful article, the podcast that I host, which I would love to talk about.
Yes, we'll talk
all
about
those
that in a minute.
things. So it's all builds that trust with your audience, that then when they are ready, there's a natural progression and a fit with you.
Because people need to know, like, and trust you. There's multiple touch points, aren't there? So they might hear about you, but they're not yet ready to work with you or buy from you. But then if they see you on social media, listen to your podcast, and podcast is a great way to build that trust, isn't it? Because you're in someone's ear. And they can really get to know, like, and trust you. So talk to us a bit about your podcast. How long has that been going for?
Oh my God, I love doing the podcast. I can't even tell you, Emmy. I would do that podcast if nobody was listening to it. And I started it off just that I'm going to do a podcast. That's it. And I just do it over Zoom. It wasn't that difficult to set up, really. And it's all about interviewing female founders who have successfully raised investment. But it's real warts and all interview. This is not shiny PR, about how incredible this fundraising round was and everything. This is like capturing women when they've just given birth to a baby, because they're like, oh my God, let me tell you about my fundraise. And I think that's really important, because it's a reality check for people about what is involved in raising investment, but packed with tips and hints about how to approach it, because there's never one right way. And again, all sorts of businesses, all sorts of stages of business. So people raising from, 100K to a couple of million, through angel investors, some through VC, some through crowdfunding, some with thousands of investors, some with just one, some who've found investors and then turned them down. I mean, so many great stories. And I love it because I learn so much from every founder that I interview. And so some of them we've worked with, not all. Some of them I've just seen and I kind of thought, oh my God, you're amazing. I want to share your story to inspire the rest of the audience. It's been so powerful for us, that podcast, because it also has helped us build out that network of really amazing female founders. And the founders themselves are such a great source of new founders to bring into our community, because if you're thinking about raising investment, you probably go and find somebody else who's raised investment and say, how did you do that? Which is exactly what I used to do before I set this business up. And most female founders, to be honest with you, are too busy building their own business to be able to really help the ones coming up, even though they want to. But they'll just say, hey, look, I'm so busy, but go and speak to Julia. And so it works really, really well from that front. And again, you know, from it, we're building such a lovely community of female founders. We have a private Facebook group, which is over 400 high growth potential female founders now. And yeah, I feel really proud to just see all those incredible women doing some really good shares.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And so you're sharing on your podcast, and then presumably you're repurposing that content and sharing it across multiple other channels.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So we will publish it on our website. It goes on YouTube. We'll use quotes from the podcast on our social media. I'm also 80% of the way through writing a book, which is, I thought I'd get finished in lockdown, and then we've just become so busy. So I must carve some time up over this summer to do it. But the book I'm writing is all about raising investment for female founders, specifically for female founders. And all of those amazing stories are weaved into the book, and it's super inspirational. So yeah, I think that's the thing with any of that kind of content. There's always so many different things you can do with it. It's so valuable. And as I say, for me, what I love most is how much I learn every time I speak to those founders.
I totally agree. It's so interesting, isn't it? I think interviewing founders or interviewing other experts, I love it because you're just learning so much. And so would you say that's your main piece of content that you're creating, that you're then you're going to repurpose into a book, but you're repurposing across multiple channels?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's probably, we do one interview a month on the podcast. Other content we produce. So the other one is we do a Clubhouse discussion every month on a particular
Yes, I was going to ask about that. So
yeah,
you've got your podcast as well.
Yeah, Clubhouse is topic based again, and that's about getting, you know, some really awesome founders together in a dark room where no one can see anyone because you're on Clubhouse. Thank God, because usually I'm wearing my pajamas. But having a really good and frank and honest discussion, and so much stuff comes out of that. And every month we will write an insights article on that, which is very different from the fundraising piece. It's broader. In some ways it's broader because it often reaches outside the investment world, but it also goes deep on a particular topic. So for example, this week we were doing a discussion on taking the F word out of finance, which is just all things finance. Like, what do we care about? The next one we're doing is all about, what should we ditch the pitch? And I think it's so important that we keep examining this stuff and keep getting the views and input from founders, and what are our insights into that, and how can we spread that out into the industry, not just for founders, but for the world of investment, to listen to it and kind of go, actually, this is what female founders are saying about this. So please listen, because if you want to embrace diversity and get parity in the startup world, you have to properly listen to the voices of female founders. So that's a slightly different role that we're playing there, but I feel very passionate about that.
I did a lot on Clubhouse and I love it. I think the one thing that, I mean, and there's two sides, isn't it? I love the way that you're then writing this insights article from it. If you've got someone taking notes live, because you can't record it. I mean,
we tried recording it, but I keep screwing that up. So now I have somebody comes in and writes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose that's one of the things that I did so much on Clubhouse when it launched, and there was so much amazing insight and value in there. It's kind of like a shame, I sometimes thought, not to be able to repurpose that and to share that insight elsewhere. But it's great to hear that that's working for you, and I'll definitely look out for those insight articles. So last probably question, because we haven't got much more time to go, but I'd love to know. So I'd love to know: is there one thing in particular that you think is working for you, or is it? Is it really that you've got to the point that you've worked so hard, delivered value for so many people, and you spent so long building a network? I mean, because I'm interested. What I'm hearing from you and my personal experience is like the network to growing a business is so important. Strategic partners critical for business growth. But then you sort of hear people say, oh, networking is a total waste of time. You don't need to do that. Just go and do some paid ads campaigns, and you've got a constant flow of leads. But interestingly, you said with your Facebook ads, you did get some leads, but they weren't that high quality. So if you had to sort of, I don't know, give some advice about one or two things that you really would focus on, what would that be?
I mean, yeah, I think it's quality over quantity. I think it's about relationships. That to me brings everything. And it is far more effective to build your business out from your existing clients than spend all your time trying to bring in new people into the network. Because if you do a great job and you work really hard with your existing relationships, they will naturally bring in new clients for you. So that's the focus, and just being really clear about that and knowing, who matters to you. But it's relationships. I think people buy people, and it's about giving as much as you can and not expecting to get something, otherwise. So focus on quality, focus on giving, focus on relationships, real genuine relationships, because then it will just happen for you naturally.
Amazing piece of insight. We didn't talk about your and we need to get going, but we didn't talk about your quiz that you've got.
The investability.
We will put the investability
scorecard. Yeah, that's good tool. Takes 10 minutes. Find out where your strengths and weaknesses are when it comes to raising investment. That's a really good tool. Yeah,
I'll definitely add that into the show notes. Thank you so much, Julia, for coming on today. It's been amazing to speak to you. And I love what you're doing, helping female founders. It's super important. And it's great that you're there sort of flying a flag and helping them. So thank you.
Thank you.